social media platforms at K24 TV. And that means you can also catch me on my personal, okay, platforms as Shiko Kaittany, which is SHIKOKAITTANY. We do have a brand new WhatsApp number that's at the bottom of your screen. Should you wish to contribute to our conversation, we'd like to welcome you. We're going to be inspiring you this whole hour, and I'll tell you why. Because we're talking about revolutionizing prosthetics in Kenya. And when you look at that term, prosthetics, okay, what are you thinking about? People who are probably living with a disability, what we actually refer to as amputees. And the general term is talking about limb loss or individuals who actually have probably been born without a limb, right? Prosthetics have come in, this technology revolutionizing, changing, such a huge game changer for individuals, by the way, who actually need this to be able to more or less lead the best lives as possible. And so today we are actually teaming up and getting to understand what's happening in this particular industry. We do have one company who's here, by the way, changing lives, creating solutions for amputees. And before we actually play our feature for you today, because we actually went on ground, here's one individual who's very instrumental to the entire process. And this is one Emmanuel Mayaka, who's here with us today. He is a prosthetist, but we also do know him as regional service manager. I was going to say regional manager, but regional service manager from SACLEG here with us today. So Mayaka, I'd like to welcome you to the show. Thank you so much. I mean, we've met before, you've been here before, and I think people really had so much fun on set, and even by the way, those who are watching actually talked about how inspiring you all were with the amputees that you came with on set, and you know, just the advocacy that they are doing. And look at you just supporting them. Look at you. So thank you so much for joining us, Emmanuel. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
All right. So let's just understand, because before we play that feature, we want to understand what your profession is all about. This is why you're our trendsetter today. So we get what prosthetics is all about, right? But we've also heard of orthotic fitting. So, I mean, what's the difference?
So my profession is basically the scope is prosthetics and orthotics. So these are two different, you know, areas. So it's a highly specialized, you know, profession, so to say. So in prosthetics, we focus on replacing lost body segments. So this could be the limbs in the lower extremity, the upper extremity, the breast, the nose, you know, and many other body segments that we compensate by replacing. So orthotics focuses on supporting the body with devices, or rather assistive technology, you know, and in this case, if for instance the body is paralyzed, the body is weak, there are contractures, there are deformities, so we give assistive devices that you know, assist the patient so that they are able to regain their mobility and their body function. So these are two diverse. One is to replace what is not there. The other one is to support that which is there that has one challenge or another. So this we see in, you know, bracing for all body extremities, the spine. If the spine has a problem, then we have those assistive devices that support. If the upper extremity, sometimes even, you know, the head, when there are injuries that affect the skull and all that, so we have helmets that protect that. And the lower extremity, of course, so it is a very, very diverse and highly specialized field.
Now, I don't want to undo what you're going to actually say in this feature that, you know, you're in. But one thing I really like you to emphasize on is just, you know, how dire the situation is on ground. Because for people who are able-bodied, perhaps you don't really think about it. But when you think about this field and just how crucial it is to giving people back, you know, like the way you said, their mobilities, the quality of life. Tell us what you actually see on ground. And if there are some cases, by the way, that have totally gotten you emotional.
Yeah.
Please share that with us.
Yeah, let me say the situation, let me just paint the picture. The situation on the ground is not interesting. Number one, because once a person, you know, gets an amputation, there's a way it disrupts their life.
Right.
And this is something very close to me because especially, and I like the fact that you told me to bring out my emotions. Just last week, I lost my uncle.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
So he had a condition on the lower limbs which needed urgent amputation.
Oh, no.
You know, the doctor strike has been going on and all that, so access to healthcare services was affected at that time. So the condition really worsened to the extent by the time a decision was being made to do the life-saving amputation, it was too late. So, you know, he was supposed to undergo bilateral amputation, like amputation for lower, for both legs, but it couldn't take place because, you know, so it really, you know, it really gives a clear picture of what is happening out there, because amputations, you know, are done because of different reasons.
Right.
And at some point they are life-saving, you know. So on the other flip, when someone undergoes an amputation, it is a very heavy thing. There's a way it disrupts their life. To the extent that it, number one, makes them lose part of their body. And that experience is very, very difficult. It is close to death. Because here you are, born with your, let's say, both of your legs. You are involved in a road traffic accident. You are not prepared for that. And the next thing, you wake up in a hospital and realize you do not have your legs. It is a very, very heavy experience. And the worst cases I've seen are patients who undergo, you know, like road traffic accidents, and then they are not prepared, they are not counseled for that. And then they wake up, they don't have legs, they heal and go home. You know, nobody prepares them. There's a huge gap because the prosthetists are also not, the service is not readily available in most hospitals. Major private hospitals that I may not want to mention names do not have the services.
Oh my.
You cannot just walk into a sub-county or a county referral hospital and get the service. So that tells you that there is a huge issue of access. And the appeal we are making on behalf of the amputees is that we really pray that the Ministry of Health and the government, the government of the day can, you know, move with speed and employ prosthetists so that any amputee can just walk into any public facility and get the service.
And this is another question, by the way. Why are there not so many people specialized in your field? Is it that from a professional's perspective, it's not that attractive? You know, it almost sounds like a labor of love, and some people are saying, hey, me, I'm not here, by the way, to do that. Let me go for other cadres within medicine. What is the issue because you're so few in this country? Why do you think it's not an attractive course?
We are so few because it is a huge investment to train a prosthetist.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It is so expensive to train a prosthetist. But of course, there is the other side of, you know, in the medical field, there are over 40 you know, cadres. So it is very easy for most people to choose nursing or the others, and you know, by imagining that prosthetics and orthotics it's a bit complicated. So there's that, but for sure there are enough professionals in Kenya to serve the public. What is happening is that there are very few that have been absorbed by government. And that is one of the factors that also discourages, especially the young, to go to school and train as prosthetics, and as prosthetists. So they are there, and I can tell you, of all the trained prosthetists and orthotists in Kenya, like 50%, let's say 60% are out there unemployed.
What?
Yeah. So it is not that they are not there. They are there, but there is also the aspect of lack of awareness of their role within the health sector. You know, if you talk about health is devolved. If you talk to the governors, they'll always tell you about doctors and clinical officers and nurses, and then once the issues of the three are sorted, then they imagine you know, everyone else is covered.
This that's crazy. That is, I mean, terrible to hear that people don't have jobs simply because they're not being absorbed.
Jobs. And this really is a big burden for me.
It is.
Because imagine of an amputee down there in, Nyacheki in my village.
Right.
And they are using a nice prosthetic system. And it breaks down,
What next?
What next?
Yeah.
They'll be totally, they'll be disrupted totally. And what we are really praying for is, if that service, can be available, just like you have a headache and you walk to any health facility, you get the service.
Yeah.
We really hope that it will be the same case for prosthetics. Yeah.
All right, Mayaka, we've done some extensive work in terms of today's feature and our show, and I just want you to take a look at what we're going to play. This is a clip that was sent to us by one David Itale. For those of you who are big on social media, you do know David Itale as a war veteran. You do know him as a motivational speaker. And by the way, he is an advocate for amputees. And so let's take a look and look at the comparisons between what life is like for an amputee abroad and what life is like for a developing country. So this is about almost 5 minutes. I don't know if my director Dan will actually play the entire clip, but let's just listen to some of this and then let's let Mayaka actually respond to what we are seeing and some of the things that David has to say about living as an amputee in the UK.
Good morning, Shiko. Thank you very much for inviting me on this panel today. To the viewers back home, my name is David Itale. I'm an ex-Kenyan footballer, and I'm a veteran soldier. I lost my leg in Afghanistan after a bomb blast accident. I've lived in the UK for over 10 years. What I love most about the UK on how they look or treat people with disabilities is totally different from how people in Kenya are treated. Here in the UK, there are so many laws that have been put in place just to help people with disabilities to be able to live a normal life. We have comprehensive civil rights, law that prohibits discrimination on the basis of disability in employment, state and local programs, public accommodation, commercial facilities and transportation. So you find everything that has been put in place is able to aid people with disabilities to live a comfortable life. In the transportation sector, we've got things that have been put in place that people who have disabilities who are traveling with buses, they've got their own spaces. You find the bus has its own disabled door where you find if you have a wheelchair, it's very easy to access it. We have universal credit. Universal credit is income given to people with disabilities who are unable to work. We've got personal income independent payment. Personal independent payment is also an income that is given to people who can work, but at the same time, they can only work for a certain amount of time. We've got things like disability living allowance. We are also exempted from paying vehicle tax. We've got things like parking benefits. This is where you're issued a blue badge, and wherever you go with your vehicle, you have disabled parking bays. We've also got help to buy or lease a car from Motability Scheme. Motability Scheme is a scheme where if you have a disability, you can actually go to any car dealer and you get a vehicle of your choice, which is under Motability Scheme, and you lease the vehicle for 3 years. The other benefits we've got is, for example, right here, I've got 2 prosthetic legs. I've got this is my shower leg, and I've got this as my spare leg. This is the most advanced leg that I have, which is the Gilliam leg, and this leg I can do so many activities with it. I've got an app on my phone where that shows if I want to do things in the gym, let's say like cycling, lifting weights, I've got the app on my phone to aid me or to change the mode on the leg. For example, if I want to do cycling, I can just click on the cycling mode and you'll just hear a beep, and that has changed to cycling mode. If I want to go back to walking normal, I can just click to basic mode and you will just hear a beep and it changes back to basic mode. In my own experience when I was in Kenya in 2017, so many people approached me with how they're really struggling. This is because they find they don't receive any help whatsoever. And this starts from things like wheelchairs, prosthetic legs, Zimmer frames to aid people to walk, and crutches. Some people are able to afford them and some people are not. That's totally different from here in the UK. Here in the UK, everyone is treated the same. The government looks into everything. And it's something that I would like to see the Kenyan government trying to implement, just to try and help people with disabilities. Because disability is not a disease. It's not something that you can catch. And people who have disabilities, it's not their choice the way they are. As a society, what we can try and do is just try and treat people with disabilities the same as anyone else. These are people who also have talents. These are people who also contribute to the society or the community. Lastly but not least, I would like to give a shout out to DJ Euphoric, a very good friend of mine. Keep on doing whatever you're doing. Something very positive. You're inspiring so many people with disabilities in Kenya. I would also like to give a shout out to the Member of Parliament on the panel, Mr. Wanyonyi. And Mr. Wanyonyi, you've heard what I have to say. You've seen, we've shared views on how the UK have so many benefits on how they help people with disabilities. That is something that you can take to the Parliament. And if you have a discussion with it, I'm sure it can help so many people.
Oh, wow. Very inspiring there. David Itale obviously giving a comparison about what he has actually managed to see abroad, living, working as an amputee in the UK. And also mentioning some very public individuals who are very instrumental in the conversations of people with disabilities in this country. Mayaka, before we go to that commercial break, which is around in 3 minutes or 4, what struck you from what David actually said about life as an amputee abroad?
Everything. I think this show can end because
you already want to leave me.
You know, because I mean he has painted
yes
the exact picture of the situation in Kenya. And you see, I was really happy to see that he has three.
How many people can have
three
that?
prosthetic devices, and I wish, I don't know whether he's listening, maybe he can donate 2. Because, I mean, in this side of the world, David, it's only 1 out of 9 amputees who are able to access prosthetic devices.
Which
and
is
of course,
sad,
there's the aspect of, he has talked about a lot of things. I've been in the UK and I can say for sure that the dynamic there in the disability industry are different from us.
Yes.
We are making baby steps, but we can do better. We can do better, especially in the aspect of the cost of the assistive devices generally and prosthetics.
Right.
Having NHIF to fully cover, you know, having private insurance companies to get up, so that the burden is easier, you know, for the amputees.
Right. I mean, for him, why he actually managed to get 3 of those is because, it's as simple as you walk into a facility, you have the cover, and that's how
I'm telling you, out there, it is so nice to be an amputee. Some people even, you know, influence doctors to amputate them because it changes, you know, it changes your category in terms of living. You are put in
the special category.
In a special category.
And the packs are crazy.
The packs are crazy. Access to duty-free cars and all that you were saying.
Right.
So I mean, we can also, there are a lot of things we can learn for sure.
Right. I mean, I think I'm going to challenge David to actually show us what his automobile looks like. For the next time we have this conversation, I'll make sure David Itale shows us how he's able to drive,
Yes.
how he's able to function, by the way, as an amputee in the UK. And just like Mayaka is actually saying this morning that, you know, we hope that we're going to see a change, some difference, by the way, for people who are living with limb loss in this country, okay? But here's something that we are so excited about, that we managed to get Mr. Mayaka on ground together with his entire team known as SACLEG, and looking at the kind of technology that's come into this particular country to help amputees regain, by the way, their mobility. So what's out there, what's on offer, we're going to find out in just a bit. Let's take that short commercial break. When we get back, you'll be actually looking at it yourself. Talk to us through our social media platforms at K24 TV, and here we go.
It's time to move. It's time to bounce. It's time to lead. It's time to shout. Time for new dreams. Time for new drip. Time for new scenes. Time to tear up the script. So bring the noise. Bring the fire. We're flying high. Time to get higher. It's game time. It's our time. Alexander-Arnold!